Good evening and welcome to Sunset News this Friday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, and sports. I am Glenora Shipura. In the news tonight, President Hage Geingob today visited the Karas region where an engagement took place to inform communities regarding green hydrogen and its future in the country, its plans and progress. Speakers at the event included Green Hydrogen Commissioner James Nupe, National Planning Commission Director General Obed Kanjode, and President Geingob. At the event, the head of state stressed that the people need to be included in national plans in order to ensure cooperation.
We got interested parties to propose to government around Ludrets and the sun, the wind, and the water, and the sandy seas. We have both water seas and the sandy seas. We are about to witness history being made. Very closely, soon from today, we've been huddled in the room to negotiate the terms and conditions of that preferred bidder. We will see the unpacking of opportunities in their gazillions of availability. There are several others happening, several valleys that will do green hydrogen in the country. Some have already cascaded to the level of communities. We all have heard about the Dauris project, green hydrogen project. There are several in the Orongo region. There would be more, Kunene and maybe Oshodonjupa, going forward. So this thing isn't just mimicking the potential of the sun, the wind, the water that we have in creating what the world so much is looking and yearning to get as we gravitate to net zero. So we mitigate in our own small way as a country, punching above its weight, to actually decarbonize the climate. We know we haven't had rain this year. The situation is bad, facing another drought. But here you have the sun, the wind, and the water. And the investors are here. Several governments still are looking to have a bit of the piece. And our job, having done all of that, we escalate that into Cabinet. Cabinet looks at the recommendation from the Green Hydrogen Council. That recommendation, if it sounds good, much like we will do with the final implementation agreement, being negotiated as we speak here, we then look at that and we escalate that into the cabinet chaired by the president for final decision making. That's the governance process.
We must be in touch with the people so that they can know what is coming on. As I said, if you exclude me, I will sabotage. And they will do that. If you exclude somebody, they will not cooperate. And a good idea could be thrown away. We could have benefited the Namibian people.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee's consultation on universal health coverage in Swakopmund was yesterday disrupted by members of Parliament when they discovered that the Minister of Health and Social Services, Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, who had invited them to the meeting, was absent. The Executive Director of the Ministry, Ben Nangombe, faced opposition from SWAPO parliamentarians Shekero Tweya and Gotthard Kasuto, as well as from Isaacs Edson, the Landless People's Movement's Member of Parliament. Tweya said they were not willing to engage in pointless discussions, emphasizing that political consultations must be spearheaded by politicians. This video is from Desiree Gasses.
That is why, at this level, we are, in fact, this consultation was requested for by members of Parliament themselves.
It must be headed by the minister responsible.
It was requested for, but in the scheme of things, how these consultations were structured, they were structured so that at technical level, this information can be shared so that you can, as members of Parliament, make your inputs. We incorporate those inputs. And once that is done, this is in fact going to come back to Parliament. And you are going to engage your counterparts in Parliament. But we need to prepare. We need to prepare at technical level. We need the information. Give us your views so that we can incorporate them into this document.
No, for them to be here cannot be an excuse, that one. No.
It's not an excuse. It's a consultation at this level.
The institution must lead that consultation.
We want them to engage who?
Target group.
When you are saying it
Honorable
was us,
members,
no.
I think if okay.
No. We're not interested in that type of silly debate.
And things you are
No.
Then we are probably at the wrong time here.
No, it can be the right time, but the consultation with politicians must be led
This
by
is a
fellow
technical
politicians.
consultation. Honorable
It can be
members.
technical. You want to say that your minister is technically zero?
No.
What are you saying?
He
Why?
he has
he must be here.
mandated us to come and consult. Yes, we have consulted.
But he
other
must also be
stakeholders.
here.
It's wrong. That's what
He must also be here.
that is wrong.
He
He can send you alone when you consult the business people. That's fine. We've got no problem with this. But as politicians, we're experiencing this during our oversight function. They would come and tell us stories.
No,
And we're not
honorable
interested.
member,
No.
because this issue is going to come back to Parliament.
We
Once
know that, but the
document is-
consultation, the head of institution must also be here as an MP and as a politician.
I think there is a misunderstanding.
No, there's no misunderstanding. You have a misunderstanding.
There is a misunderstanding because the way these consultations were crafted for the stakeholders to give their inputs to the technical
But the
team,
politician must also
the
be
technical team to prepare the document, and the document is going to go to the National Assembly, it's going to the National Council. So I honestly, I don't know why this should be an issue at all. So
to you, it's not an issue. To us, it's an issue. You started by saying it's technical.
let's do this.
Now today, it is not an issue.
Let's do this.
No.
I want to allow everyone to speak, and then from there we can, decide on what is there that we move
They
forward.
must also be here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. What in essence, what message are you giving through? It is telling us that the minister himself is not convinced about this, because so go talk to the parliamentarians and see whether they will get it. He was supposed to lead this thing in developing whatever logical conclusion that is, because ultimately what is going to happen is to enact a law. But the processes are wrongly implemented. That's what we are saying. Therefore, the absence of the minister speaks volumes about this.
And we will not
or
take it kindly.
or the deputy of it. And it is wrong. It is wrong to pursue the thing in such a fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable.
They need to be defensive on this issue. If it has been an oversight or whatever, that must be corrected. That's what we're saying. If it is the issue of him telling us maybe they will still consult the minister on the issue so that they sort this so that it cannot repeat itself, that's fine. That's what we are saying. But you cannot tell us, because when you are saying it's us, that because the letter came from the minister to engage us, members of parliament, is a minister. Yes, meaning that we don't really want to hear all these other stories about. We should correct these things, because you can't tell us that now it is technical when it comes to this, but to the minister is, what are we saying? No, we don't really want that. When we have omitted or we have done something wrong, let's just correct it. Because as members of parliament, the truth, the fact of the matter is that we feel undermined, because we have got that mandate. Because even the constitution is clear that we can subpoena a minister. That's why I'm talking as a chair that is responsible for that committee. Yes. Please, let's not be defensive.
You can only correct when you acknowledge that you have made a mistake. Yes. But when you defend wrong things, you cannot correct. To that effect, if you are willing to correct it, we can adjourn, get the message clear to the minister, you report to us, and then we'll decide the way forward. Today and now. We can break off. You brief the minister and say, this is the situation. Submit.
call Dr. Shambula. Give me 10 minutes.
The world gross domestic product is projected to decelerate from an estimated 3.0% in 2022 to 1.9% in 2023, marking one of the lowest growth rates in recent decades, the Agricultural Bank of Namibia said. In 2024, global growth is forecasted to rise to 2.7% due to the expected normalization of current macroeconomic headwinds. Inflationary pressures are projected to gradually abate amid weakening aggregate demand in the global economy. This should allow the U.S. Federal Reserve and other major central banks to slow the pace of monetary tightening and eventually shift gears to a more accommodative monetary policy stance. We'll be right back getting into your community talk. The Roger Federer Foundation invested $100 million in early childhood development in Namibia. The announcement was made in the capital this week during a multi-sectoral dinner in support of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4.2, namely that by 2030, all girls and boys have access to quality early childhood development, care, and pre-primary education so that they are ready for primary education. Speaking here is Foundation trustee Sandro Guliana.
So one fact we know is that 80% of the brain is developed in the first 5 years. So it's a lot. It's really a lot. So what happens there is really a solid foundation. You can always catch up, but it's hard. You need to struggle to catch up. So the 80% the first 5 years. I think this is the key factor. The second one, what we also learned from research, is that schools, unfortunately, are not in a position to close achievement gaps. This was the big hope, that schools can close achievement gaps, but they cannot. So if somebody enters with a disadvantage into primary school, it will persist and increase over the years. So this is the second one, which is really key. So it's not just the development, it's also the persistence in the increase of the disadvantage. Thirdly, we know, especially from the research of Nobel laureate Jim Heckman, that it also is a very ECD, early childhood development, quality early childhood development, a very strong effect on health outcomes, on addiction, on obesity, on all the elements important for health. Connected to all of that, we know also from a very recent study in Jamaica that there is a 25% higher income probability if you went, especially as a disadvantaged child, if you went through a quality ECD environment. 25% is a lot. And we just heard before, doubling a situation can mean a tripling of effects, so 25% is a lot also. So all of that, and this is especially also for the representatives of the private sector, ECD is by far, or not by far, but one of the investments with the highest return on investment. You have factor 8 return of investment. It's not by coincidence that the colleagues from the World Bank they can testify that the World Bank is qualifying ECD as a precondition for macroeconomic development. So it is, I was honored to be together with the president of the World Bank, Jim Kim, at that time in 2015, when he was rallying for building the grey infrastructure of the country. With grey infrastructure meant the brain infrastructure of the children. So this is all facts.
While the government has made strides in empowering women, some areas remain unchanged. We'll get into this in our Story of the Day segment after the break.
Hey, don't worry about the car, boss. I checked nice.
Thank you, but it's okay, ne? F&B Insurance. Checks nicer.
No.
At FNB Insurance, we provide cover for all your valuables, from your car to your laptop to your phone. FNB Insurance. You value it, we cover it. T's and C's apply.
While the government has made strides in empowering women, some areas remain behind, such as instances where rural women are still forced to ask their husbands for permission to go to a clinic. This is according to Martha Mbombo, Executive Director of the Ministry of Gender Equality and Social Development, during the working of the Women's Parliamentary Caucus, which took place yesterday.
Affirmative action is also implemented in these cases. Equal rights with men to access healthcare services is very important. We know it in the rural areas, some rural areas. A woman cannot go to the hospital without permission from the husband. Yes, it happens. You have to get permission from your husband to visit the hospital, and you have to be told what to go and say, what's your problem. And when you come back with the medicine, you may not take that medicine without the permission of the husband. It is so serious. So we have a lot to do in some areas, not all the areas, in some areas. Equal rights with men to economic and social benefits. Yes. Eliminate discrimination against women in rural areas. This is very, very key, and I think we also have a concluding observation on this one, so that they can benefit from healthcare, education, social security equally with men.
We'll be getting into our economic news shortly. B2 Gold Namibia, owner of the Shikoto gold mine, has started with the implementation of its phased mine closure plan. The life of mine plan indicates a current lifetime, including the processing of low-grade stockpiles, of approximately 9 years beginning 2023, unless a significant open-pit discovery or extension to the underground reserves is discovered, B2 Gold said in a statement. Based on the most recent life of mine plan, the open pit end of life will likely be will be by the end of 2024, with only 50% mining tonnage capacity required in 2024. Accordingly, the last year of full open pit mining production will be 2023, B2 Gold said. The company has considered alternative options to retrenchment. However, given the life of the mine, those are not viable and sustainable. Retrenchments will be based on the ramp-down schedule and operational requirements, B2 Gold said. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.04 to the US dollar and 19.96 to the euro. It trades at 22.62 to the pound and 2 Namibian dollars and 67 cents buys you 1 Chinese yuan. Zinc is trading at 2,785 US dollars, while Brent crude oil prices are up by 0.29%, trading at 87 US dollars and 8 cents per barrel. We'll be taking a look at our international news after this short break. A Taiwanese court yesterday sentenced 9 people to prison terms ranging from 11 to 18 years on human trafficking charges for luring dozens of people to Cambodia to toil in online scam syndicates. Online boiler room rackets have long had a presence across Southeast Asia, where victims have reported traveling to Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, and Laos on false promises of romance or high-paying jobs. Those sentenced on Thursday included the head of a human smuggling ring that Taiwanese authorities last year said had advertised promises of high salaries and easy loans on social media. Taipei's district court sentenced ringleader Li Shenghao to 18 years in prison. The 9 defendants formed a criminal organization of human trafficking and lured people into agreeing to work in Cambodia by offering high salaries or helping to pay off debts, the court said in a statement on Thursday. The victims' passports were taken away when they arrived in Cambodia, and they were forced to work in scam rings and pay large amounts in exchange for their return to Taiwan. Japan on Friday approved a plan to build the country's first casino in the western city of Osaka, paving the way for a 1.8 trillion yen resort set to open in 2029, aimed at attracting domestic and international tourist spending. The giant resort complex located on Yumeshima, a reclaimed island in Osaka Bay due to hold the World Expo in 2025, will also include hotels, a conference center, shopping mall, museum, and ferry terminal. Let's take a look at the weather predictions for the weekend. Warm temperatures are expected for central and northern Namibia, with minimum temperatures of 16 degrees expected in Katima and Sumep. Lüderitz expects a maximum temperature of 42 degrees, while Henties Bay and Swakopmund are expected to be cloudy and warm with a 17-degree minimum temperature. On Sunday, warmer temperatures are expected up north and in the central regions, with Oshakati expecting a maximum temperature of 36 degrees. Moving along the south, a sunny Sunday is expected, with Rehoboth and Marienthal expecting a 31-degree maximum temperatures and a minimum of 10 degrees. We'll be getting into your sports news shortly. Young African and Tigers coaches are eager to secure maximum points against each other in the Depmarine Namibia Premiership when the two teams meet at the Commersdal Stadium. Windhoek Draad Volvich's head coach Crisanda Botha has made some selection changes ahead of Saturday's Mzansi Challenge away match against the Zimbabwe Goshawks in Harare. Although not given test match status, the clash between the two competitive rugby neighboring nations is guaranteed to be hotly contested as an evaluation of the state of their current crop of domestic talent. Loose forwards are Thomas Sau Forbes, Liu Bu Dupreez, and Cameron Langenhaven, as well as fullback Aurelio Plato and prop Carl William Freyang. Brave Gladiator player Anushka Kordom announced on Wednesday that she will be taking a step back from national duty, citing uncertainties relating to the payment of fees, among other long-standing issues. Kordom said the reason for her departure was due to the fact that the football associations, including the Namibia Football Association, have failed her and many other players over the years. For many years, associations all over the world have failed women's football, she added, acknowledging that some associations have taken huge steps towards equality, citing Norway and the USA. I have represented Namibia for over 12 years. My first national team call was for the under-14 and under-16 national teams in 2010, which traveled to South Africa to compete in the Osaka Cup, which we won, and I co-captained at age 12. Since then, she has witnessed the unequal treatment of players, she said. She added that playing for the national team was never about the money, but said the financial aspect cannot be ignored. We'll be getting into your highlights shortly. Let's get into the highlights from today's broadcast. B2Gold Namibia, owner of the Shikoto gold mine, has started with the implementation of its phased mine closure plan. A Taiwanese court yesterday sentenced 9 people to prison terms ranging from 11 to 18 years on human trafficking charges for luring dozens of people to Cambodia to toil in an online scam syndicate. Brave Gladiator player Anushka Kordom announced that she will be taking a step back from national duty, stating that her departure was due to the fact that the football associations, including the Namibia Football Association, have failed her and many other players over the years. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Make sure you join Sunset News on Facebook, on all the Animate platforms on weekdays, as well as on our website, oneuptwo.com. Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 94 every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I am Glenn Rashipura, and this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.